It's an understatement to say that Jeremy and Kat are cat people. Nekoha in Japanese, it means they are of the cat clan. And they've got a bunch of cats. There's Zipper the orange cat, Booker the great void, and the little sisters, Skipper and Scamper, who would come later. And all together, they form a big, lovely family of cat overlords and human slaves. But now, we're gonna talk about a very specific cat, one with a pretty interesting story. Scooter. Because what was once a happy family turned into a nightmare that almost destroyed Jeremy and Kat. It was March of 2021 in Massachusetts, and it was a normal day in the life of little Jay. He was in his office, doing some work, nothing out of the ordinary. But then, he noticed something, a funk, and was like, that doesn't smell good. So he opened the window and closed the door. And this is where it all went wrong. Because normally, when Jeremy opens the window, he closes the door so that the cats won't come in. But this time, while the door closed, it didn't latch properly, which is a problem since Scooter knows how to open doors by sliding his paws under the door and pulling it open. So when Jeremy started playing video games, he didn't notice that Scooter had opened the door, walked past him, and then leaped out the window. So after a while, they saw that the door and window were open, and noticed that Scooter was missing. So they looked for him, and could hear him meowing outside. And when they got outside the house, they saw him, stuck on the roof, crying for help. So they were like, oh shit, we gotta get him out of there. And they launched Operation Rescue Scooter. So they got to planning, but it was here that they realized how dangerous this was gonna be. Because they were planning on climbing out the window that Scooter came through, but the part of the roof that the window led to was like a foot wide and was incredibly steep. So if they tried to go out the way Scooter did, they most certainly would slip, fall, and crack their skulls on the driveway. So they were like, okay, scratch that plan. We could try a ladder. They did have ladders, but none of them were tall enough to reach the roof. So they went back to the window idea and were like, oh wait, how about we climb out the window, but we put a mattress on the driveway to cushion our fall. Great idea, right? Totally not gonna get themselves killed. But eventually they thought better and were like, okay, instead of killing ourselves, let's call the fire department instead. At this point, it was starting to get dark, and Scooter was still up there, scared and crying for help. And when the firefighters got there, they used their ladder to climb up to the roof. But the problem was that while Scooter's an extremely friendly cat, he was terrified. So when the firefighters tried to grab him, he ran away. And when they tried to move closer, he kept running further and further across the roof. Then suddenly, bam! Scooter got scared and made a last desperate attempt to get away from them. And then he slipped, fell off the roof, and bolted into the woods. Now it was pitch black. There were no streetlights, they were surrounded by dark, dense, winding forests, and Scooter just ran in there, and they lost sight of him. And Jeremy panicked and grabbed the firefighter's flashlight and ran after him. They all spread out, desperately searching the dark forest to find him, but there was no hope. After spending the entire night looking, there was no sign of Scooter. They tried everything they could. They asked their neighbors, put out posters, posted on Facebook. They put out their laundry in the other cat's hair to make it smell like them, all to try to get Scooter to come back. But then, Jeremy got a text from Bernie, because Bernie had been through a similar situation where they lost Joe the cat, and he recommended this service that made missing cat postcards and sent them out to the closest 1,000 houses to you, which Jeremy and Kat tried. So it was like, our cat Scooter is missing. He's a tabby cat with green eyes, a clipped ear, and a white spot. Please call blah 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 if you see him. And it was actually going pretty well because a ton of neighbors called them about cat sightings, but none of them were Scooter. So every night they would take shifts where they would wake up in the middle of the night and go outside the house looking for Scooter, which you can imagine is exhausting and extremely unhealthy, but they just wanted their buddy back. And this went on for months, and it was eating them up inside. They eventually had to stop going out at night because not sleeping was just incredibly unhealthy for them. But they both felt so guilty for stopping because not going out at night felt to them like they were giving up on Scoot. But about a month in, they were starting to lose hope and had to tell themselves that it was time to go back to their normal lives. But who knows if that'll ever be possible. Kat would have dreams of finding Scooter, only to wake up and break down. They had trouble eating, having to force themselves to swallow food. Jeremy cried a lot because Scooter was such an important part of their lives. Every night, Jeremy and Scooter had a routine where they would sleep next to each other. So whenever Scooter was sleepy, he would meow at Jeremy and be like, "Okay, human, I'm sleepy. It's time for us to go to bed," because he refused to sleep without Jeremy. And that's how it would be every night. But now, Scooter's gone. Scooter was more than just an animal that lived with them. He was like their baby. And now, Scooter was out there, scared. He could be starving to death. He could be freezing to death. They don't know, and the uncertainty was killing them, especially since Jeremy said that he blamed himself for it. So you can only imagine how much fear and guilt they felt. So now, every night, Jeremy would go outside and say, "I love you, Scoot. Good luck." Fast forward about 6 to 7 months to early November, where they got a call from their neighbor, Dan, a couple minutes drive away. And Dan was like, "Hey, you guys lost your cat, right? A tabby cat? Well, I saw a tabby on my driveway. I think this is your cat." But once they heard this, they were like, it's not going to be Scooter. Because at this point, it had been months. There were so many false sightings, and they were emotionally exhausted. But Dan had trail cams, so he was like, "I'll put the cameras up, lay some food, and see what the cameras can catch." And the cameras actually caught pictures of a cat. So he sent the pictures to Jeremy and Kat, and it looked like this. It was this super low-res night vision photo, and the cat was super blurry and reflective. And they were like, well, it could be Scooter. It could also be any other cat in existence. We can't tell from this picture. But Dan sent them another picture, this time much closer, and it actually kind of looked like Scoot. The cat was a tabby, was about the same size, had a clipped ear, a similar fur pattern, and had the same white patch. So they were like, oh shit, could this be it? Is this Scooter? So they got a live trap, a cage with a falling door with food in it, and headed to Dan's place.
We are currently in possession of what I am affectionately calling the Scooter Scooper 9000.
And this entire time, while the cat looked like Scooter, it had been so long and they didn't want to get their hopes up. So they were like, okay, here goes. We probably won't get Scooter. And they put the trap down and left. But the next morning, when Dan checked the trap, there was an itty-bitty tabby cat inside. And Jeremy and Kat got a call from him, and he was like, we got him. So they immediately got into their car and bolted to Dan's place, shaking the entire time. And when they arrived, they saw that the cat was a tabby, had the green eyes, had the clipped ear, and the white spot. And the cat immediately started hissing at them. But as soon as Jeremy got closer and started to speak, the cat stopped. And Kat immediately burst into tears because she knew it was him. It was Scooter. But they were like, okay, wait, we need to be sure. So let's get him to the vet to scan his microchip. So they drove to the vet, and when they started scanning the chip, it was a 100% match. This cat was none other than little Scoot. And they flipped out. And Kat burst into tears again. So they brought him home. But the thing is that when you have pets that have been away for a long time, they may not recognize you right away. So you need to wait and let them remember. So what they did was, they brought him to the bathroom to isolate him. And when they opened the cage, he immediately ran out and jumped on the sink. But then, he did something really interesting. He looked up at the cabinet in their bathroom, because something about that cabinet seemed familiar to him. Because that cabinet was the spot that Scooter always jumped on to sit in. It was his spot. And he just started staring at it. And he was like, wait, is that my spot? Am I home? And he turned around and was like, Jeremy? Kat? Is that you? And then he jumped down and immediately started snuggling with them, giving them head rubs and purring and drooling all over them, because Scooter realized that after all these months, he was finally home with his family. He was a little dirty and he had some scrapes and worms, and obviously hadn't had a full meal in a while. But now, he's home, healing, happy, and safe. Also, shout out to Dan, by the way. Never would have gotten Scoot back if he hadn't helped. They also tried to pay him, and they were like, here, take this money for your help. But Dan was like, no. Keep the money. I just want to help you get your cat back. So cheers, Dan, you absolute legend. So to wrap up, Scooter left, never to be seen again. Then 6 months later, came back and was like, hey, what's up? So Scoot was gone for half a year. What the hell did he do those past couple months? What kind of adventures did he have? The world may never know.
Revealing no secrets you're keeping, these promises strong as a spell. I'll never tell.
Yeah, I like you, that's for sure. Never have to close the door. Been a long time, a year before, and I'm missing you so bad. Gone away a month or more. Every show I go before, need to hear that voice, 'cause right now feels like it's been too long. I could never let you go on thinking about those secrets true. Now and then, don't worry, I will find one like you.
I'll never tell. Just trust that I'll keep it locked in a cell. Never revealing no secrets you're keeping, these promises strong as a spell. I'll never tell. Oh, it's true. Oh, it's true. It's true. Oh, it's true. Oh, it's true.